And we're back. Hello, viewers. You're back with the Goods fam. This is Philly Good, and we are taking a look at the MPCX, going through the MPCX Bible, and we are on now chapter 10, Creating Instrument Melodies and Chords. So if you have the MPCX Bible, I suggest loading up the tutorial files and you can follow along. Now, if you can, please follow, subscribe, and hit the notifications to let you know when we'll be doing our next live on Twitch. Alright, so let's just jump right into it today. In this chapter, we're going to add some melodic parts to the beat we've been working on in previous chapters using the MPC's built-in synths. So let me just go back to the file we were working on previously, which was my first project, was the title. Okay. Okay, so from here I'm going to load up the project file from the chapter 10 folder. Gonna load up demo beat.xpj. Okay, and this project loads a sequence based on the drum beat and bass line we've been working on previously. So if you've been tuning in before from chapters 1 to 10, it's just been a continuation of the same work that we've been doing every day. So MIDI instruments. So far we've been dealing with MPC drum programs, which are primarily optimized for playing drum and percussion sounds. But as we've seen, they can also be used to create melodic content using 16 levels, which works really well for performing and recording with kits that contains a mix of drums and sampled notes. But when it comes to creating instrumentation, the modern MPC has many more powerful and flexible options and can trigger sounds from any MIDI enabled instrument. In standalone mode, this includes attached MIDI hardware, synths, keyboards and sound modules, even iPads, MPC plug-in instruments such as tube synth, bassline, drum synth, hype, Odyssey, Mellotron, and electric, and MPC key group instruments. These are sample-based instruments that can be used to build melodic playable instruments from one or more samples, or even emulate complex acoustic instruments. And if we are in controller mode, we have two additional options, which we'll look at in more detail in chapter 24. MPC internal instrument plugins. The same instruments as standalone, like tube synth, drum synth, etc., but with the addition of Air Music Hybrid 3. And then there's also third-party software instruments, third-party VST and AU instrument plugins that have already been installed on your computer. All these are just different examples of MIDI instruments. A MIDI instrument can be played with your pads or with an attached keyboard controller and allows you to easily create your own melodic hooks, riffs, and chords. Using standalone plug-in instruments. All standalone MPCs feature the built-in plugins Tube Synth, which is an emulation of an analog polysynth, and Bassline, which is an analog monosynth emulation. There's also Drum Synth, which is a drum synthesizer, and Electric, which is an electric piano emulation. I'll be using these for the plugin examples in the course, as I can be 100% certain that all readers will have them on their system. It comes with the MPC, I guess, software. Mine is all loaded up. Include Hype, multi-engine synth, Mellotron, an emulation of the Mellotron tape sample machine, Odyssey, which is an emulation of the classic analog synth, and Solina, based on the ARP Solina string synthesizer. On most MPC models, these have to be manually downloaded and installed, although some newer models might have them already set up for you. To install the additional free instruments, check out the guide in Appendix A with the MPCX Bible. Akai also offers a number of premium plugins, such as Fabric XL, Studio Strings, Organs, OP4X, Mini D, and Jura. Many of these are already included in the MPC Key and MPCX SE. Otherwise, you'll have to purchase them from Akai. So let's use an instance of Electric to create some mellow sounding electric piano chords for our beat. In our demo beat project, go to Main, Sequence 1, and use the Track Plus button, or hold down Main to use the Track Select screen, and select the first unused track, Track 3. This is currently a drum type track, so we'll need to change this so it can accept an internal plugin. To do this, simply hit the plugin icon. By creating a plugin type track, the MPC has also created a new plugin program called Plugin 001. Just like a drum program holds all the settings and configuration for a drum kit, A plugin program is used to hold all the settings, parameters, and configuration settings for the currently selected plugin. The difference is that a drum program stores information about samples, while a plugin program stores information about the type of instrument plugin assigned to that program, including which patch and settings have been set up. The default settings in an MPC will normally assign the tube synth plugin to a new plugin program, but let's assign a different plugin. Setting the default plugin instrument. If you want the MPC to automatically assign a specific plugin to a new plugin program, simply go to Preferences, Project Defaults, and set your preferred default plugin synth. Mine's set on baseline, but you can literally choose whichever one you want. I'll set it on electric because I think we're about to continue. Oh no, the tube synth, is it? I'm gonna go with tube synth. Alright. So double tap plugin. Doesn't work when I double tap it. Oh, okay, I see. Double tap plugin tube synth. Oops. I don't think that's what they meant. Okay, so let's go back. Did they mean to do it from Okay, we're going to go back to Preferences, Project Defaults, and then from there they said to set your preferred default plugin synth. Okay, double tap plugin tube synth. Here you have a list of all available MPC plugins. Just go, maybe if I have it like that. No. So anyway, you can just hit the sounds and it pops up. It's interesting, it doesn't show up like it. Okay, there. So that's the screen they wanted to show you. Here you have a list of all the available MPC plugins. In standalone mode, plugins are mostly provided by Akai's sister company, Air Music Technology, but Way Out Where provide the Odyssey. The filters on this instrument plugin screen mirror the filters you used in the effects plugin screen. Again, I prefer to keep both type and manufacturer enabled. Okay, I see type and manufacturer both enabled. Single tap electric and tap select. The plugin 001 program is now configured to use the electric plugin. Electric is a digital synth that attempts to emulate the sound of classic electric pianos such as the Rhodes and Wurlitzer. Let's rename the track, call it Rhodes. This is how they spelled it though. Rhodes. Now rename plugin 001 to reflect the plugin that it is assigned to it. Call it Electric Rhodes Patch. Okay. When a plugin is initially loaded, you'll see that the main screen indicates that it is using preset called Ballad EP. Yeah, I see that Ballad EP right there. Select Bank D or Bank E and hit some pads to listen to how this preset sounds. So I'll turn on my speakers. We haven't really had a need for it yet, but let's get that turned on. And we can hear some sounds now. Cool. Why have my pads changed color? I'll just take a quick sip before I get into that. Little 2-minute break. For anybody that's viewing, please jump in the chat. I'm trying to get 5 people chatting during a live stream, so that would be awesome if you could do that. Also, hit the notification so you know when the next live stream is. I'm here every day from 10 to 11. This is the Goods Fam on Twitch, and you're watching Philly Good talk about the MPCX and learning about the MPCX with the MPCX Bible specifically. And we're just going through it chapter by chapter, and hopefully we can build a little community around learning the MPC together. And anything you can do to support the live stream to help out, that would be great. So anything is appreciated. All right, let's get back into it. Why have my pads changed color? When you select a melodic type program, plugin, key group, MIDI, the MPC pads automatically enter pad perform mode, which is designed to help you perform melodic chords and lead lines. You can find out more about pad perform later in this tutorial. To change and edit this preset or patch, we must head over to Program Edit. I've never seen this. Okay. It's amazing how many things you miss when you don't go through the instructions, right? As you can see, this is very different to how a drum program appears in Program Edit. Instead of parameters aimed at editing audio samples, the parameters here will be used to shape and manipulate synthesized waveforms. Like all the MPC instrument plugins, Electric plugin does come with many predefined sound presets which might already have the sound you need, or at the very least give you a decent foundation to build your own. So the easiest way to become comfortable with using this and any other MPC plugin is to just load up one of those presets. Double tap on the preset Ballad EP. Parameter was at the top of the screen there, and it shows a list of the various preset categories. Single tap Basic to view the available patches in this preset category. If you know which category a particular preset resides in, the preset group navigation is the way to go. Tap on the black area of the screen to return to Program Edit. Now, the quickest way to randomly test out the factory presets is to simply tap the preset box at the at the top of the program edit screen, and start turning your data wheel clockwise, or use the plus button. Each time you select a preset, you'll need to wait a second for it to load. But then you can use your pads to play a few notes to hear how the patch sounds. You want to give it a shot, I guess? I'll just pick a random one. Using a MIDI keyboard. If you prefer to play instruments with the traditional keyboard interface, you can hook up any MIDI keyboard to your MPC and use that instead, or as well as your pads. I have a little Akai MPK mini play hooked up. I'm not a very skilled piano player, so I don't really need a full keyboard for now. I'm still learning how to play better, so once I get better I might get a bigger one, but alright. So most modern class compliant USB keyboards can be plugged directly into the USB port at the back of your MPC, which is just like mine, and should work immediately. You can also use Bluetooth keyboards if your MPC model has Bluetooth support, or if you only have an older style keyboard, connect the MIDI out of your keyboard to the MIDI in port of your MPC. Appendix A has more information on this in the MPCX Bible. Now let's just use the first preset, El Piano 1. Okay. I tend to prefer getting something basic laid down in my sequence before I start thinking about tweaking a patch, as it might not even need any tweaking. So let's look at laying down some cool Rhodes chords in our beat. Finding the key of our beat. We know from program edit samples that our original bass note is in the key of A, but what was the key of the bass line we created with it? Let's just briefly head back to list edit and remind ourselves of what we did to that A note using 16 levels. As you can see, the sequence starts with pad A05 tuned to plus 40, and then at the start of the second bar goes to a minus 10 tuning. These would appear to be the root notes of our bass line. We know in list edit, a semitone is represented by a tuning of plus or minus 10. So the plus 40 tuning equals a 4 semitone increase, which on an A note is a C sharp or a D flat. I was just watching a Twitch stream yesterday of Summer Dawn, and somebody was commenting about how they hate C sharp and D flat. So anyway, just reminded me of that. Shout out to Summer Dawn. She seems really talented and a good streamer, so somebody to tune into. Now the minus 10 tuning is 1 semitone lower, so this would be a G sharp, also known as an A flat. So basically our bass line seems to be indicating our song is in the key of C sharp. I'm just going to put down the keyboard, unless maybe we're going to be using it. I'll just keep it on my lap. So with the chords going from a C sharp to a G sharp every 2 bars, this is a nice and simple progression to work with. Recording the Rhodes track with Pad Perform. Now, if you don't have any experience with musical scales and chords, creating an instrument performance can be a bit of a hit and miss affair. If you're comfortable playing a MIDI keyboard, you can connect one of these to your MPC and play your key group instruments this way. See Appendix A on how to set up MIDI equipment. If you have an MPC key, you can of course start playing with your keys immediately. However, if you prefer to use the pads or simply wish to take advantage of pad-specific chord building features, the MPC has a dedicated mode that can help you. Pad Perform mode. In Main, tap on the Pad Perform icon on the program row. Pad Perform icon in the program row. Oh. Is this the program row? Is that what they're talking about? That's where I see Pad Perform. Is there another Pad Perform somewhere? Why would they get you to go to Main to hit that? Shouldn't you just be able to hit it from any screen? Okay. Well, I'm just gonna hit Pad Perform right from there. And so, alternatively, you can double tap the 16 levels button. Oh. Let's see. If I go... Okay, yeah, it brings up Pad Perform. Alright, cool. Oh, I see. That's what they're talking about. Main. I have to hide this, and from here on the plugin program, they have Pad Perform show up right here. Okay, you have to be under plugins specifically. That's what they were talking about, and then you can hit Pad Perform. Gotcha, figured it out. Okay, now this will bring up Pad Perform screen. The above shows the default Pad Perform screen when starting a new project from boot up. However, it is possible that what you see in your MPC can vary slightly depending on whether or not you were working in Pad Perform earlier. For the moment, just make sure that Pad Bank C is selected. Okay. Oh, now it shows exactly what they have. Okay. Pad Perform mode is automatically engaged whenever you select a melodic type program such as plugin, key group, which we'll see in the next chapter, or MIDI. In MPC firmware 2.10 or earlier, you have to actively turn on Pad Perform, but since 2.11, this is no longer the case. It's always on for any melodic program. The default mode for Pad Perform is called chromatic. I can see that up here. It's defaulted to chromatic. If Pad Perform is not showing chromatic at the top of the screen, tap on it to select it. In chromatic mode, the pads themselves work just like the keys on a MIDI keyboard, covering a range of chromatic musical notes from C -2 MIDI note 0 all the way up to a G8 note MIDI note 127. You've probably noticed that the pads are now lit a little differently. In chromatic mode, the lit pads now show you the notes that fit into the scale you have defined on the Pad Perform page. This is found under the scale and octave section. Right there, it's already selected as A. In the screenshot above, you can see that the scale is A major, just like we have on my screen. And this means all the lit pads are now notes that appear in the A major scale. A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, and G sharp. You can still play the unlit pads. In chromatic mode, the lit pads simply guide you to the notes that will fit into the selected scale, but you are still free to play notes outside of the scale. On the on-screen pads themselves show which octave is currently selected. A hyphen, for example, in the original pad perform screenshot, pad A01 shows the note A0. This is note A, octave 0. You can change octaves easily by hitting the octave plus minus button right there at the bottom right of the screen, or by choosing a different pad bank. I'm just going to take a 2-minute break and take a sip here, and if you could please jump in the chat or just throw in an emoji or something, that would be appreciated. I'm trying to get 5 people in the chat. Yes, please drink water. Water is great for everyone. But I'm taking a sip of my coffee to finish it off. For all my dogs. All right. So now, if you could, please follow, subscribe, hit the notifications to let you know that the next stream is coming up. I'm here, Philly Good, on the Goods Fam on Twitch every day from 10 to 11 a.m. And let's continue on. MPC key scale filter. Pad perform mode is specifically for the MPC pads, and does it work on the built-in keys in the MPC key 61 and MPC key 37? I think they were trying to say, and doesn't work on the built-in keys for the MPC key 61 and key 37. However, in the MPC key, press the keyboard control button to achieve something loosely similar. Keyboard control button. Oh yeah, the MPC key. I don't have the MPC key. So if you do have the MPC key, there's a keyboard control button which will do something similar to pad perform. Okay, so the scale filter allows you to set a scale, for example, major, minor, etc., and a root note for that scale, so C, D, G flat, etc. And then you can set the filter input So this is probably not for the MPCX. So you can set the filter input to snap to scale. So any notes you hit outside of that scale are snapped to the nearest scale note. For example, if you selected C major, hitting a C sharp will snap the note to a C. Set the filter to scale to silence any non-scale notes that might be played. In a C major scale, a C sharp would simply not play any sound at all. Set to as played to turn the whole feature off. This is the default setting. Now, tap on Chords. You can use the Chords button at the bottom of the screen or the button in the top left. A chord is a collection of notes from a scale that are played together in unison, typically used to create an underlying rhythm part for a song. When pad perform is set to chord mode, each pad is set to play back a specific chord rather than just a single note. And unlike chromatic mode, in chord mode, all pads are configured to play chords that adhere to the scale type you configure, thus making it impossible to play and duff sounding chords. With Bank C still selected, set the scale to natural minor. The key to C sharp, and make sure chord is set to 1, 3, 5. Play pad A01. Okay, and you'll hear that it now plays back a complete chord rather than a single note. As we selected 1, 3, 5, the MPC is playing a chord consisting of the first, third, and fifth note in the selected scale, which for C sharp minor would be C sharp, E, G sharp. Why are some pads red? Red pads indicate the root note of your chosen scale, which in the case of C sharp minor are C sharp notes, each one an octave higher than the previous one. If you'd like the bottom left pad to always start on a root note, select Banks, start on root note. Otherwise, select Continuous for the pads to continue in scale order as you switch banks. Remember how we decided our bass line was in the key of C sharp? Well, that C sharp chord on pad A01 definitely sounds pretty good over the first part of the bass line. When you hit pad A02, the MPC will just move that 1, 3, 5 pattern up one note in the C sharp minor scale. So it's now playing a chord starting on D sharp, along with F sharp and A. The next chord up on A03 is E, G sharp, B, which is an E major chord. Basically, any pad you press when in 1, 3, 5 mode will play a chord compatible with the C sharp minor scale, or whichever scale you select under scale. Changing chord types. You can quickly change the type of chord by holding down Shift and selecting one of the chord buttons at the bottom of the screen. If you now press 1, 3, 5, 7, the MPC performs a similar operation, but this time it will add an additional 7th note, which will turn our major and minor chords into major 7ths and minor 7ths. These tend to sound much more jazzy. Sounds nice. Alright, pad perform octave bug. Some people have reported that it's sometimes difficult to select really low notes in pad perform because the octave button won't go low enough, down to -2. This appears to be a bug. First, make sure you have selected pad bank A to ensure you have the lowest available pad bank. If this doesn't resolve the issue, single tap the octave parameter and turn it all the way up to 8. Octave. Turn it all the way up to 8. What does that mean? Is there 8 of them? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, I don't think I had that right. 1. Oh. What? Single tap the octave parameter and turn it all the way up to 8. Then spoil back down again and the -2 octave should be available. What? -1, -2, okay. I see -2 is now available there. Interesting. So yeah, you just need to go up and then back down. And that fixes the bug? Okay. Gotcha. Hope you understood that. Chord progressions. Pad perform mode also features dedicated chord progressions, which provide more structured chord combinations that feature the types of changes you'll often hear in more complex song arrangements, with changing root notes and chord inversions. Tap on the progressions button and set the chord parameter to piano pop 3. It's already set there for me. We've now got a whole bunch of chords that work well together in the key of C sharp minor. Start playing your pads and you'll hear just how easy it is to create a professional sounding jazz chord progression. Oh, I'll go back up to the C pads. Oh, because I got it on the -2. Right? Is that why? Okay. Now remember how we worked out that the second and fourth bar of the beat used a G sharp instead of a C sharp? Try the following. At the start of bar 1 and bar 3, play pad A01 C sharp minor. And at the start of bars 2 and 4, play pad A02, a G sharp 7 chord. Sounds pretty good. Notice that pads A09 and A10 also feature C sharp minor and G sharp 7 chords, just an octave higher than the ones on A01 and A02. So for a fatter chord sound, try playing these together. So A01 with A09 and A02 with A10. How you play them is up to you and the vibe you want to set. Can I turn off pad perform? Whenever a melodic program is currently selected, pad perform always remains active in all the main sequencer screens. For example, grid, main, etc. While pad perform cannot be turned off, you can instead choose custom mode for an almost similar result. Head to pad perform, shift and hit the 16 levels button, and once there, simply tap on custom at the top right of the pad perform screen. In custom mode, the pads run chromatically, starting with note C-2, MIDI note on pad A01, all the way up to note G8 on pad H16. Just use the pad bank keys to find a suitable pad bank to play the notes you wish to play. There's no scale and octave mode here. Interesting. Alright, load the project file chords.xpj. And play sequence 1 to hear their version on track 3, Rhodes. Notice that in grid view, my single pad hits are not just producing a single sequencer event. Instead, the MPC automatically adds the required events to build each complete chord for you. Saving pad perform settings. I'm just going to take a quick 2-second break. Thank you all for joining. Anybody out there, please follow, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to know when we're up next with a new stream. Right now, we're here every day, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, with Philly Good looking at the MPCX and going through the MPCX Bible so we can grow a little community around learning all together. All right. Saving pad perform settings. When you save a project, the MPC also saves the current pad perform settings to a project settings.xml file inside the project data folder. So in theory, the MPC should automatically recall those preferred pad perform settings each time you load that particular project. This seems to work fine in the MPC software, but in standalone mode, I've found it to be unpredictable. Sometimes it seems to work, sometimes it ignores the saved settings. Wow. Creating staggered chords. So we'll probably be finishing off with this for today. We're getting close to the last 10 minutes. As you can see from the previous grid view screenshot, when pad perform creates a chord for you, all the notes in the chord are entered into your track at the exact same time position. When playing piano chords, it's often common to stagger the notes a little to give a slightly less stabbing feel. This staggering can be subtle or even be quite exaggerated to give a flowing, almost arpeggiated feel to your chords. There's currently no built-in performance option or function that can create staggered chord notes for you, but we can make them quite easily in grid view. Select the zoom tool and magnify the events in the Rhodes track so you can see the entire first chord. We're going to create a stagger that roughly follows the green line in the previous image. So it's going to go like roughly I'm trying to make it longer so you just see the first chord but not necessarily bigger. There we go. Okay, so it's going to follow roughly a line like that instead. So to do this, make sure you've chosen Edit Start at the bottom of the screen and also have enabled the Select tool. Finally, enable Don't Snap. This means the MPC will ignore the current TC setting and allow us to adjust the start time in small increments. Now tap to select the second note event from the bottom and begin to turn your data wheel clockwise to move the start time for this event forward just slightly. Now repeat this for all the events above it, but each time increase the change in start time to create that staggered feel. Okay, so each one just tap it, but do it a bit more. To give it a more natural vibe, make sure the staggered slope is not particularly even. So some notes just change a little, others change by a larger amount. Okay. Maybe we can adjust the slope a little bit more. Alright, so I say that that's pretty good. And repeat for the second bar. Oops. Rather than copying, manually change each note to create a slightly different sounding stagger, again giving it a more human vibe. Oh, select. Select Sequence 2, Rhodes staggered to hear their version. Well, let's hear this one first. Nice, I like that. Okay, we're getting to the last 5 minutes, so we'll just pull up their sequence. Sequence 2, Rhodes staggered to hear their version. Sounds good. Remember, you can hold down Shift and select solo if you'd just like to hear the Rhodes in isolation. Okay. Which style do you prefer? I think I liked the version from the MPCX Bible creator. Definitely sounded very nice. Mine's a little more choppy, but still sounded cool. Okay, so we're in our last few minutes today, so we'll leave it off there. We'll continue on with Chapter 10, Creating Instrument Melodies and Chords, tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, and we'll continue with tweaking your preset. Anybody out there watching, please follow, subscribe, and support the channel in any way. If you can, jump in the chat and just put an emoji or anything in there to contribute to my goal. I'm trying to get 5 people in the chat during a live stream, so that would be nice. Anyway, that's it for today. I'm going to load up the project we made on Sunday and just fiddle around with that as we close out. thank you all. I appreciate you tuning in. And we're gonna